I let the seller say it needs to be sold at this price, when pricing is really a strategic invitation to market the house, to drive the traffic, to get competition in there. It's not the number you're going to walk out the door with. And so many people get really tied to that in their head.
Welcome back to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and we are talking real estate like we always do and how to get better every single day, how to become a better agent. That's the Better Agent Podcast. That's what we're all about. And I'm sharing more about my experience. I'm still deep in the trenches in this business after doing it for over 20 years. And I continue to learn every single day. And I'm committed to that growth and learning path every single day as well. And so hopefully you get some insight both from what I'm going through and what I have been through in my journey throughout this time, and also from some of our guests. And today I've got a great guest with me, is Tiffany Drahonovsky, which is a Czech name I discovered. And Tiffany has a great business that and a great story, I think, that I'm excited to learn and hear more about, because she got started in this business during kind of a tumultuous time, right? If you were in the business during COVID, you remember that time, and that's basically right when she had gotten started. Yeah, Tiffany, why don't you share a little bit more about your background and how you got started in real estate and kind of what led you here today and what's working for you, that kind of thing.
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure and a privilege. Yeah. So I'd been in sales and sales leadership in a couple different ways throughout my career. And I always really get fascinated by learning new things. And I had really been following a lot of podcasts, mostly from Bigger Pockets, for about a year or so. And I was trying to buy my first investment property. I had just achieved that in January of, what was it, 19? Yeah, 19. And I was in a corporate sales manager job, and I had to drive down to downtown Milwaukee each day and be there at a certain time, and timestamps on your computer were watched, even though the sales team that I led mostly got the privilege of working from home.
Yeah.
So I was like, why do I have to fight with the traffic? And why does it matter when I show up if it's a couple minutes late? Because I'm on the phone talking with my agents or like listening to them and coaching them. And I didn't like that structure. So I was interested in how I could do more for myself and have a little bit more flexibility in real estate. I ended up getting downsized from that role, right? Like literally as the country was shutting down for COVID. And it kind of worked in my favor. I was like, I don't really love this anymore either. I've got all top performing people, but it was kind of culturally not a fit. And I understand that. That's okay. It gave me a chance to move into something I really wanted to do and was really passionate about. I found a role as a disposition manager for a real estate investing company locally. And that meant that they bought stinky houses, and they had a huge marketing machine and process that they went through. And we had a sales team that would go and work with folks in distressed situations or with distressed assets and give them an opportunity to move forward in their life and not have to worry about the house. My role was to evaluate that contract and figure out the best exit strategy. Mostly that year, we were wholesaling based on our goals and the projects we had going on elsewhere. But I also looked at, would this be a better flip for us to handle? So I was calculating the ARV, looking at the CCV, making sure I agreed with that contract price. I would handle marketing and the showing of the properties if we were going to wholesale them and facilitate that whole second contract, if you will. It was a really amazing time to get into real estate because I had to drive around and go, and everything was closed. And a lot of the houses I was dealing with, you couldn't use the bathroom, that you couldn't stop at like Walgreens or McDonald's. So it was interesting that you had to figure that out while the whole world was changing. And I'm looking at these crazy houses in the middle of it. But it was very fun. Boy, talk about learning fast. But I was actually leveraging a lot of the strategies that I had been learning about and been very interested in from the Bigger Pockets podcast that I've been really delving into. So I ended up buying a couple more single families. I used hard money for the first one I used cash. I had some money I used, and then I borrowed some money from my folks. That was the best property I bought. It was this cute little single family on the near south side of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Kind of a sketchy area. We got some sketchy areas. We got some wonderful areas too, by far a lot more wonderful areas. So then I acquired two more single families using hard money. I got to be on the expert panel at the Milwaukee RIA, or the Real Estate Investing Association. I think that was 4 or 5 springs ago. That was fun. And I got a huge introduction to all of the cash buyers, investors. And it's amazing the amount of folks that we have investing in Southeastern Wisconsin that are not from here. Yes, there's a couple big corporations, but we have a lot of folks from all over the world that have recognized what an excellent place it is to invest here, for whether it's flips or buy and holds or syndications, all that kind of stuff. I even own an Airbnb here for a short period of time with a partner.
Yeah.
Like you said in the beginning, I learn every day in this business.
Yeah.
I learned all kinds of great things there, but also some interesting things.
Yeah. That's one thing I love about this business, though, is like there's so much variety that every day is unique. Every client is unique. Every property is unique. I mean, nothing is the same. And like in some ways, that's what keeps it interesting. That's what keeps it fresh. And that's what keeps it fun, really. I mean, if you like, maybe it's the ADHD in me that's like, secretly coming out. Like I enjoy that kind of hit of, oh, I wonder what's around this corner and what's it going to be next, right? Like, what could it be? And it can be fun, but like, I think it's interesting. You got an interesting path and an interesting start, right? Like you had a pretty good base, right? You came from this corporate sales background and like you already kind of knew what it took to be successful. You had a successful sales team and you had already, I think, developed probably a lot of those habits that it takes to be successful today. I mean, am I right? I mean, that's what that's my guess anyway. I don't know. Would you expand on that?
Yeah, I say the strategy. I'm a very strategic person. I'm always looking for different nuances in terms of how you can position things. I leverage all that kind of stuff on the offers I write. And when I have my buyer consultations, I view it in my head as training my buyers. Like, here are the secret little fun things you can do in your offer to make them stand out. And I've absolutely won from some of those things, but it is every day it's a different situation. Every seller is a different situation. Every buyer is a different situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I continue learning. So I have learned that too, the real estate lessons can be very expensive. So you better learn the lessons so you don't have to have that presented to you again. So I've learned that too. And a lot of what I help my folks with, whether it's on the buying side or the selling side, is avoiding those type of pitfalls, because I can help them be prepared to not face some of the crazy stuff I've seen and been through.
So lessons being expensive. I mean, what comes to mind, I think, is like maybe you make a bad investment, right? You offer too much money on this house. It needs way more work than you anticipated. And now suddenly you go from making money to maybe even losing money. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. It's sellers always come from the point of, hey, I've got gold right now. I've done everything to this house. I put so much money into it. I've not been able to sell 1 or 2 houses when I didn't guide the expectations properly of sellers. And I've learned from that, because I've still spent all the marketing effort, the marketing time, the open houses. And then when that doesn't result in a check to cover your time, that's a hard lesson.
So the listing that doesn't sell, right? So you take that, you're so excited in this business. Oh my God, I got a new listing. I'm so excited. And then it doesn't sell. Oh, I know, it's so frustrating. I've experienced it as well. And like, right, you got to go in and know that that's a possibility, but then I think it's super important to really set those expectations. I think you hit the nail on the head right there, right? Setting expectations along the way, right? Like, hey, I know that's one of the scripts I use even now, like all the time, like, hey, we're going to set the list price at what we think is reasonable. If it doesn't sell in 3, 4, 5 weeks, guess what? That maybe isn't the right price. And, the longer we sit on the market, it's just costing them more money anyway. Like it's going to,
people start to get some notion what's wrong with the house.
What's wrong with the house?
It's very
100%.
interesting. It's a lot of psychology that I like to watch with people and learn from there. But I'm really honest and forthright with folks. So I even had a conversation with a seller last week, and they said, have you sold every house that you've listed? And I said, no. And I know exactly what I did wrong. I let the seller say it needs to be sold at this price, when pricing is really a strategic invitation to market the house, to drive the traffic, to get competition in there. It's not the number you're going to walk out the door with. And so many people get really tied to that in their head, and helping educate sellers too. If they want to go to market not represented, of course they have that option. I've been there and I made some big mistakes that way too. That's why I'm an agent.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you've probably dealt in some aspect of the market that I don't think a lot of agents really dabble in, is the wholesale market, right? Like that, to me, I haven't either. Actually, I haven't really done wholesaling. Like, to me, that's it. I guess I can never wrap my head around it too much, right? Like, I'm hoping to make a spread
Mhm.
of X, and I don't know what it is, and it could be this or it could be this, whatever, but it's totally unknown. Versus, if I'm an agent, I know I'm going to make a commission, and it's already, you have a contract with a buyer, and like, hey, I'm going to make X, right? I'm not going to say amounts, right? We're at different firms. We're not talking commissions, okay?
Right.
But like, there's a sort of market trend, I think, and some momentum about what agents typically would make, either as a buyer's agent or a listing agent or something like that in your market. And so I think for me, it was always easier to wrap my head around that versus on a wholesale. What am I going to make? I have no idea, and it could be $500 or 5,000 or whatever. I don't know, and maybe you know more about that than I do, because I really haven't done a whole lot of that. I've done a handful of off-market deals, but I haven't done much of the wholesaling type of thing.
Sure. Well, it was different in this respect in that I was one cog in a very well-oiled machine. I did not get the properties under contract. So it was a dual close. And
Yeah.
and then once we had it under contract, it went from the marketing to the team that warms them up to our outside salespeople who would actually go and work with the sellers and get the property under contract.
Yeah.
And they took good care of the sellers. We helped them out of rough situations. And then when I was wholesaling, I didn't have to front the money for that either. But I was
Right.
also held to very corporate-like expectations, which was
Yeah.
great for me because that's how I was built, and I think. So I had KPIs, and the KPIs were you get it under contract and hopefully sold within 14 days. And then we had specific markups we're looking for the first year and the second year. And I can tell you it's substantially more than you typically make selling those houses or selling even, what would you say, market average price houses, because it's kind of, I don't want to say quick and dirty, but that's how I think of it in my head. Like when I go as an investor to buy a house, because I have a duplex now, I sold all my single families and I sold out of the partnership I was in. I consider it, I will write you, I'll take on more risk. I'll write a quick and dirty offer because I know I'm going to fix anything anyway.
Right.
So it's a mechanism to buy things quick and dirty if you're okay with taking on the risk. So I didn't have to worry about funding those deals. I'm so just personally wired to achieve. So if there are goals in front of me, I don't eat or sleep. It's crazy. I go for those goals like a machine. It's not always healthy.
Yeah.
But it's rarely a goal I don't hit at the same time, which I take great pleasure and excitement in. The role was really evaluating the math and looking, are we going to hit them? Are we going to hit what we need to for this? Do I have buyers for this? So I learned really early on, and I think this is one of my core skills that helps me understand so many buyers and sellers, is do I have a buyer for this? What is your buy box? I can really help people understand, what do I want in a house? What do of course, we all know what we would love, right? I want a pool, I want a sun deck and a walkout basement, but what do you actually need? And I can help people narrow down their buy box so that when we find the house that they're looking for, we write a strong offer and we're getting it. Or I train them to have the right expectations. It might take a couple offers to get there in our market.
Totally.
They know when it's a fit too. And I can kind of see on their faces. So that role was also finding new cash buyers whenever I had an asset that I didn't have a good list for. But it was marketing the house, it was texting it out, it was setting up the website, it was handling the cattle call of buyers when we did the walkthroughs. Sometimes they were vacant, sometimes they were occupied. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I think I answered your question.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. No, I think it's setting those expectations is important for sure with buyers or sellers, right? It's like setting up the plan, and hopefully, you've been in this about 5, 6 years now, 7 years. So, you've seen enough opportunities. And I think what also is important about your story, that regardless of where you start, but I think getting involved in some other larger team, operation, entity, something that's already doing a lot of deals can fast track your growth. Because
absolutely, yep.
I heard you say it before, right? Like, you immediately were plugged into all these deals. You weren't having to fund them. You weren't having to worry about them. You were a cog in a much larger machine, and it was already moving. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're not really getting momentum, then maybe plug into a larger group, a team, an entity or something that can help fast track your growth and keep you moving into that next level. And I think just by doing the reps, even if regardless of what the splits might be or what the cost might be, there's a cost to doing business in any business relationship, right? Whether you're just an independent agent or you're on a team or doing something different. And so, just evaluate it. But I think if you're kind of feeling stuck, like plugging into a larger group or a different group that might be able to fast track your growth, I think would be a great idea. I mean, it seemed like it worked for you, and I know it's worked well for me as well.
Yeah, I've kind of changed. I've been at more brokerages than I had anticipated I would, but I look at it this way. I didn't know what I was looking for when I left that opportunity and I went to be an agent full time. So I was asking the wrong questions and I didn't know what questions to ask. So I did broker hop a little bit, but I learned stuff at each one. I made a change this past year and I'm excited about that because I was able to recognize in myself, hey, I won a bunch of awards. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, but I gotta go. I was doing really, really great with this company, but I recognized there were things I wanted to do in my business and that they weren't set up for the level of support that I was looking for to take things to the next level. So I found the right fit. And now when I see people talking about, hey, I'm not happy or what's the best brokerage, I don't think there's always a right answer for that because it depends upon where you are in your career and what you need. I was with kind of a remote brokerage recently, and while I did very well with them, and I'm grateful for those opportunities and the awards, I recognize I get really sad in the winter in Wisconsin. It's so dark and cloudy, and I need to go to an office and be around people. I want to shadow other agents that are killing it in my market because if I'm up against them and we're both trying to get the same listing or the same buyer and I don't know what they're doing or their best tips, they're going to snow me and I don't want to be snowed. I want to win. So I'm always looking at who can I make friends with that I truly enjoy. And maybe I believe we can always learn from each other, right? No matter what your background is or anything like that. So there's a couple people in my brokerage now. I'm kind of like, you seem cool. Let's go for coffee or a drink and then invite them in on deals so that I can see them present. I can watch how they do it. I can hear the words they say. So I'm really big on growth. And that's a really cool thing about real estate. You can go to a different team, even within the same brokerage. You get different technology, you get different processes. I like my freedom right now. So I'm pulled to go to a team because I like the collaboration of it. But I also don't want to be under the structure that unless I'm leading it. And I probably don't want that structure either.
Well, I mean, that's you say it because a lot of agents say it, right? I got into real estate because I was tired of the structure of the corporate world. I was tired of too much structure, right? And the irony is that structure in some ways makes you successful, right? The more structured you can run your independent business, the more consistent it tends to be. And so it's like but if you set those big goals, like you said, you'll be driven to achieve them, but you set them, not your team or broker or whatever. It's like you're setting them internally for you, and you will climb mountains, you'll climb through whatever to get there because you want it and you set it and it's your goal. And so I think that's important too. Like if you're getting goals just from your company, like it shouldn't just be their goals, it should be your goals, and you should own it and you should feel it and get excited about it, get passionate about it. And if it's not, then change it, like develop it. And I've been at a handful of brokers. I haven't changed too much, but each time I did change, it was for the better. And I was at a different place in my life and in my personality and my business. And each time I changed, it was a great fit. And each time it was the next great fit. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling stuck or stale or it's not a good fit, like it's okay. We're not a tree. We can move, right? We can make that change.
I love that. Yes. Very true.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I also think too, you brought up another good point that I've noticed too, is like just being around different people too, right? Like and you can experience that even at your same company, right? Like maybe you even find a smaller group within your company, or it's a different company, but it doesn't matter. But I think if you're not getting what you need around those people, like that's a big flag, and you should try to make that change for yourself to get in the right rooms and the right environment to help motivate you. Because so much of this business, right? I mean, you are an independent contractor at the end of the day, and you are held to your own standards and your own goals. But if you're not feeling motivated to achieve them, getting in a different group of people that can help you want to achieve them, right? Because that can be definitely motivating. I know it is for me too. And I think it's interesting hearing just your competitiveness, right? I can hear it within your voice, right? Well, I just want to win because it's fun, right? Like, I mean, I think it's an interesting mindset because most top agents I talk to, or even that have been on the show, it's like there's some streak of competitiveness that just says, yeah, we just want to win, but we know we're not going to win all the time, but like we want to get out there and we want to do the best we can and we want to win. And like, having that kind of mindset and just almost playfulness though, right? Like it's a game in some ways, right? And approaching it that way where it's an approachable kind of gamify this business and make it fun to win and go out there. And there's plenty of business for all of us to go around. And there's lots of opportunities out there. And if you're an agent willing to go find it, I think it'll come to you for sure.
So true. And I mean, I pick up on people's energy, yes, through the screen, but more so in person. And I think that I've learned that if I'm not getting that from people, I get really sad, but also it sets me up better in front of my clients because it moves me into that level of attention, maybe so. Because when I'm alone, I'm very much in my head, having lots of conversations, but it's better to be out and with people. And even just going to lunch with people or meeting for coffee and kind of hearing what they are going through as an agent or what is working for them and what's winning for them. You can pick up little tiny things that are really impactful. One I'll tell you about, this was funny. One of my strategies is to use not an even number because people tend to write offers in even numbers of 500, 900, or 1,000. Oh. So I had a competitive situation where I was representing an out-of-state buyer on a duplex and there were multiple offers. And I said, all right, now we got to take a different number. We're not going to do like 200,000 because there's going to be other offers at 200,000 or 205,000. That's just how people think and they tend to write offers. And I'm like, there's something with, I think it was, whose book was it? Oh gosh. He's the guy, he writes books about negotiating and he was an FBI investigator.
Oh, okay. Chris Voss?
Yes, it was a Chris Voss thing. It was something about the numbers just a little bit. It makes you pause because it's
right. It's like an anchor point in your mind. Like, I got to think about that. Yeah.
So they're like, well, what number should we use, Tiff? And I'm like, I don't know, just like pull one out of the air and be like 213,946. Like literally that's what I did. And they're like, okay, go with that. So I put it on the offer and it was, nominal to what they were going to offer. But I had lunch with the agent afterwards and she's like, I'm like, okay, so why did the seller end up going with us? And she goes, you're never going to believe it. Like it was the price. And I said, well, they did the math down to the exact dollar that they could invest in the house. And she goes, they were really impressed that the buyer would take that much time. And I'm like, sweet, we got him. But there's so much psychology to this. And there's so much psychology to working with the other agent, not in a bad way. Just, the way you choose to use words and help people along a path that benefits everybody, when you're trying to get a whole group of folks to closing. It's fun.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point for sure. I mean, I know I've read the Chris Voss. I think that's one of the books. Never Split the Difference is definitely the one I recommend to everybody, whether you're an agent or not. I think it's a great book. And I think one of the things in that book that stood out to me was just kind of having that mindset of that's right. So when you're in a dialogue or conversation, right, like you're not necessarily wanting to be right yourself. You're wanting that's right mentality, right? Like you're wanting a meeting of the minds. Like, are we seeing and hearing this together? Are we in alignment, right? Like that's what we're looking for. And whether it's with a client or with a co-broke agent or something like that, or whatever it might be, I think that's something that has been super impactful just in my own interactions and making outcomes that much more smoother and easier and better to achieve. So whether, I end up getting the lowest price possible or not, right? Like at the end of the day, do I get a meeting of the minds where we can make something happen? But yeah, so much of this is business, is psychology and that kind of thing. So what about you? Any other, I guess, I don't know, trainings or things that you've encountered or tips along the way? If you're open to sharing more of your strategies and tips of, how do we incorporate the psychology of it to really take this to the next level, right? If is there anything else that kind of comes to mind for you that you like to do besides that? But I love what you shared, though. By the way, pick an offer number that's not an even number, because you're right. So many people, it's like, oh, I'm gonna offer 210 or whatever. Like, don't offer 210. Offer something.
Well, and you have some sellers who will be like, I will take the top dollar. Just tell me the very top dollar. So making sure you're $1 up. It sounds crazy, but that one little thing. Yeah, there was something I was thinking about. My longest career was at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and I was very proud to have had the opportunity to work there. I started in 95 and worked through different sales and leadership roles and left as the real estate sales manager. But they invested so much training in me, and I took advantage of all of it. And that was a day when, with big companies, and maybe some still do, they had a huge training department, and I could take all these different classes at no cost to me. And I'm like, why wouldn't I take this stuff? It's just, give me the information, make me better.
Totally.
So when I took that leadership role running the real estate sales team, they're like, hey, we'd like to see if you'd like to attend this 2-day negotiation training. I'm like, yeah. So it was the Karis negotiation was the course. And one of the things I remember about that so much, and I use this all the time, is there needs to be a satisfaction of negotiation, just like you said, things that make people happy on both sides. So a simple example can be, I like to ask for a little bit more than we're hoping to get for the buyer. So maybe we write in a home warranty and ask the seller to pay for that. Sellers, they don't want to pay more than they have to, or, give up any of the dollars if they have to. So if you give them something small they can peel off of the offer, it gives them a little bit of satisfaction. Like, oh, they're asking for seller credits. Oh, they want me to pay for the co-broke. They want a home warranty. Okay, well, I've told the buyer, hey, you can buy your own home warranty. And if you're not into the home warranty thing, I'm not like a warranty kind of person. Big deal. It gives them a little thing they can peel off to feel satisfied. And that is really important. It's kind of like not letting people lose face. Not that a seller's losing face at all, but it's just a psychology thing about a way to look at negotiation.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a great point. I had an interesting opportunity recently, not super recent, but it's in the last year, where I was representing the seller and I had an offer come in, and in many ways it was a good offer, and we just wanted to change a couple minor things in the offer, what I thought were minor, like some of the financing terms, like just bump the interest rate a little bit and a couple other things, and like relatively minor. And the buyer completely just walked away. Nope, not doing it. Like, this is my only offer, no changes, take it or leave it, I'm done. And I think, and it really put my seller, didn't make them feel comfortable moving forward at all. Like, they're like, wow, I mean, if they're this rigid and firm about something that's that minor, like, they may blow up the whole thing at the end. Who knows what may happen, and I agreed. I mean, so it never came together. And it's sad, because I think it could have, it was right there, but I think it's giving up a small thing, whatever it might be, peeling back that layer of the onion, whatever it is. I think that's a great tip. And it absolutely would have made that deal come together for sure. So that's a good one. I love that.
But it's something, like you said, if that person is acting that way now, they're very likely going to be acting that way through the whole transaction. And sometimes it's great when you have someone who's like, I want to write an offer. And I had a seller with a property on the market, and we get this, he's like, I want to make an offer. And I was on a cruise, and I was like, I don't have signal in the middle of the ocean. And my seller, I could talk to them via texting, and they're like, send us the offer, we want to accept it. And then they were a little bit salty, because they're like, oh, well, if you could have sent that to us, we would have accepted right away. And I said, he was not interested when he realized we didn't have a garage there. Like, he wasn't going to buy the house anyway. It's not about how quickly you can sign the document. He's bugging out, and he looked at the house and he saw the MLS listing. He missed it. If you have a garage, if you need that, well, he's not going to be buying it.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, no, those are good tips for sure. I like that. Definitely. Very cool. What else should we talk about? Oh, so you had an interesting thing on your profile that kind of stood out to me, is you're a dog person.
I'm a big dog person. I pet all the dogs.
You've had all the dogs.
Pet them all.
I know. I mean, I have a dog. We have a golden retriever. We used to have a lab, but you have a goal of saving 51 dogs.
So I've always had written goals, like we were talking about before.
Yes.
I've just been so oriented like that my entire life. And the one thing I really want to make a big difference on is I think we throw away these animals. They're beautiful souls. And it's so much about how you put the effort and training into them to make them a good house dog. They don't know, just like a kid doesn't know. You have to potty train a kid. You got to potty train a dog, teach them what's appropriate, teach them manners. And I saw, I think it was a Facebook post a couple of years ago, and it just kills me. It was the euthanized dogs at a shelter, and they throw them in trash bags, and they literally throw them away. And I
Wow.
can barely talk about it. So the mission, so I work for Coldwell Banker as my broker, but my business name is Lucky Dog Real Estate. And I
Yeah.
donate to dog rescues and shelters to try to prevent that. And I try to encourage people to please rescue an animal before you go and get a purebred, and see if
Yes.
you can, find the right soul for your lifestyle and everything. So I'm very excited because it's getting me a little bit of traction and attention and people doing more with the rescues. And then I saw one of my favorite lenders sent me an event coming up in Franklin where I live, and it's called the Lucky Dog 5K. And I'm like, no way. Like, I have to be a sponsor. So I'm going to be a sponsor for that. And we're going to give away tennis balls and dog treats. And I hope some people might like to talk about real estate. If not, that's fine, because I'll be petting their dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really kind of what drives me. And I have a rescue dog. Her name is Faye. She's from the Milwaukee Area Domestic Animal Control Center, or MADIC.
Yeah.
And she's wonderful. She's my best friend. And she comes to me when I have long rides to do showings far away, or she comes to me when it's a vacant house in a rough area, because people don't mess with me when I have my dog with me. She's a
Yeah.
brindle Staffordshire Terrier. So that breed does fall under the pit bull umbrella. But
Okay.
she's a wonderful dog, whether she's a big snuggle one with me or if she's just looking at people. I've had people cross the street to not walk next to me when she's walking with me. And I mean, she's a sweetheart, but
Yeah. Right.
I'm glad to have her in those rougher areas too.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that can be intimidating. That's for sure. But yeah, I think what I noticed right here, and if you're just listening to this on audio, you maybe didn't notice it, but if you're watching the video on YouTube afterwards, I noticed a shift in your demeanor and just your personality and just how you just lit up. You just like, yeah, you have such a heart for these dogs, and this, you can tell that that's like a motivator and it's driver for you, right? Like, yeah, you want to set goals, but it's for so much bigger than just writing your goal on a piece of paper. Yeah, I want to achieve these numbers for something. And like, I think that's so important for you to resonate with and like just feel that and internalize that. And I know that I've done something similar. I'm not maybe as passionate about rescuing dogs, but I think it can be a great sign of strength for you. And I think it can be for anyone else out there that's listening that says, I'm not sure about these other things that are my personal convictions and desires and whatever, right? Like, but they can be, and they can make that a part of your business, and it can be a huge motivator and driver for anyone. So I just want to honor you and thank you for that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the hard thing with dogs, oh man, I just freaking love dogs. But honestly, I've realized because I pick up on people's energy so much, I realized early on when I was selling those rough houses, and I wasn't licensed, so the wholesaling was within the lines of the law. um,
Yeah.
I
Right. Yeah.
recognize,
If you're licensed, you have a different set of duties and standards you live by, type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I recognized way back then that people get stuck in their life,
Mhm.
and sometimes the house or the person who passed or the medical debt or whatever it is that they're going through, that they can't move forward because there's too many big monkeys on the back. And when someone was there to help them with the real estate, they changed. I, like you just said, they changed in front of me, and they're like, oh my God, like I can worry about just this now. And I feel
Mhm.
so good. You've relieved so much. I don't have to worry about the house. We can leave all this stuff in here. We don't have to fix anything, and we can
Yep.
just go. And it happened over and over and over. So I approach my business that way too, because people don't buy and sell houses unless there's something going. Sometimes you do, but it's usually just something other, like a life change you're going through.
Right.
And I kind of get to the nugget of that. And it's cool to be able to be there with people and guide them through that transition.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, life changes are a big driver in our business, right? And sometimes it's not always pretty, right? You're not always selling the big dream house, right? Sometimes it's a more challenging situation, right?
Yeah.
They're going through a divorce, or they're having to move when they maybe don't want to, right? Or how do you resonate with people and empathize with their situation? But if you can be that person that does provide that empathy and understanding and then solutions to guide them through that, I mean, what a huge value add for sure. So that's great. Yeah, definitely. Nice. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, we've touched on a lot of different things. I mean, I think you got what else? I mean, set goals, always had written goals. I think that's interesting, right? I'm a
Always
big
do
goal
that.
person too.
Yeah. And, those goals are pretty much travel and experiences now.
Right.
Of course, I'm buying other real estate. Every house I walk through, I consider and run the math on it. Should I flip this one? Should I buy it for a rental? I can't
Yeah.
help it. Like, I automatically do that. But
Yeah.
if I'm not doing crazy real estate and thinking about that and serving clients, I really like exploring the world.
Yeah.
Just going to see new places. So I have a small trip planned in April to go to Sedona, Arizona, which has been on my list for a little while. I
Oh,
want to see what
cool.
the energy vortexes there are like.
Oh,
Um,
there you go.
there's a music
Yeah, I heard,
festival I like to go to in Mexico every year, and that's like my little heaven on earth. But
yeah.
when you put everything into it like I do every day, then
Yeah.
I feel like I've really earned those opportunities to do things that light me up in life.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think those are powerful motivators. And I think it's important to do those trips, put them on the calendar, right? Like this is a business that it can be one where it sucks you in and you just work
Mhm.
24/7 and like phone's always ringing and I got to take this next opportunity. And you can get sucked in pretty easily, I think, in this business. And so, having that time away is important. I know our family, we're getting ready for a European trip. We're doing a March spring break trip over in the Alps, and I've never done that. I'm a huge outdoor skier, snowboarder, and
Cool.
that's been on my bucket list for a long time. And so we're super excited for that. But that's also motivating me. Like, okay, our trip's coming up. I got to get some stuff done here. Now I'm that much more motivated at work. But like,
Mhm.
would I have done that without the trip? I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. But like, it's energizing, and if you can keep that energy high, but it happens by tapping into some of those personal things, right? How do you get personal about your business and your life? And whether it's dogs and trips and travel, or your family, or for me, skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking. I'm taking a mountain biking trip later this year
Cool.
with a group of guys, and I'm super excited about that. So, like, whatever it is, I think tapping into that is powerful. I know it is. I've experienced it for sure, and it sounds like you have as well. And if you can do that, I think anyone who's listening to this can definitely help drive their growth and production through the roof. Absolutely.
Gotta have goals.
You got to have goals, and you got to make it more than just the real estate, right? Like it's
Yeah.
about, yeah. I mean, we can help buyers and sellers, and we can help look for investment opportunities, and that's certainly a fun part of it. But like, if it's just for a paycheck, like you're missing the boat. Like, what is it beyond just the paycheck? What does that paycheck do for you and your life and your community and your organizations that you're passionate about and excited about? Like, what does that paycheck do for that? That's
Exactly.
exciting, and from my perspective, anyway. So I don't know. Yeah, cool. Well, we've hit on a lot of areas, Tiffany. I mean, I feel like we hit a lot of good points, right? So if
Well, I
you don't
think
like
so.
structure, you get into this business, but be structured, get strategic, right? Come up with those different nuanced offers you can write with different odd amounts, right? I love that.
Mhm.
Guide your expectations, have a goal, write it down, have a desire to win. I love that. Yeah, what else? Just find your passions, book the trips, do the things.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else
It
you'd
was,
like to add to our listeners today before we wrap up our show, or anything else you think that you might want to share?
well, if folks are into doing 5Ks, whether it's for fitness or for
Yeah.
charity, the Lucky Dog 5K is coming up in Franklin at the end of March on the 28th. Look me up on Facebook, Tiffany Drahonovsky Realtor, or just Tiffany Drahonovsky, and I've got all types of promotion there too. And I'll be giving away $100 Pet Supplies Plus gift card too, and tennis balls and stuff.
Bang. Look at that. Go win some swag items for your pet and run a 5K. I love that. So the Lucky Dog 5K, look it up for in Franklin. And yeah, I love it. So, well, that's our show for today. So again, I'm Josh Lavik with Tiffany Drahonovsky, and you listen to the Better Agent podcast. So if you enjoyed this, tune in next time as we dive deeper into these topics with other future guests and hopefully help you improve your real estate business. Again, Josh Lavik signing off, Better Agent Podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Better Agent Podcast. I hope you found today's insights valuable. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more tips, Q&A sessions, and sneak peeks into our 21-day challenge. To get full access of our show notes and more details on the 21-day challenge, go to abetterrealestateexperience.com. Keep striving for greatness, and I'll see you on the next episode.